everyone. John Sesrich along with Chris Justice here at the Weather Center, keeping you updated on the potential dangerous situation. Here's that line we've been talking about all day long of these thunderstorms intensifying, and now we're getting some very strong rotation with this cell right there. We're going to go ahead and zoom on in, and this is velocity. This gives you the winds actually going toward the radar site, and away from the radar site is the red, and this is very strong rotation right over Sandy Cross right here along the Franklin County and also in Madison County, and this is a potential tornado on the ground right here and heading very quickly off the northeast. So a tornado warning until 9 o'clock this evening. This is a very impressive looking cell, to say the least. This is the strongest rotation we've seen probably since, I would say, Chris, the one that we had in Rutherford County earlier in the day today. And it is moving into you folks in Bowersville, Hartwell, and if you know anybody on the lake right now, you want to give them a call, make sure they take cover. You should take cover immediately in this area. Can we just storm track it? Yeah, let's just one time, Chris, and then I'll go to you. Franklin Springs, potential tornado over you folks at 8:41. In Cannon at 8:45. Hartwell, the town of Hartwell, at 8:55. Reed Creek just before 9 o'clock this evening. So this cell, again, is racing off, Chris, very quickly at up to 50 miles per hour. So you don't have a whole lot of time. You need to go to your safe spot immediately.
Yeah, John, this is one of the more dangerous storms that we've seen so far today. Please take this seriously there in Franklin and in Hart County. Lake Hartwell heading right towards you. You need to be seeking shelter right now. Turn the TV up as loud as you can. Get into the interior part of your home. This is one of the strongest couplets that we've seen all day long. Strong rotation here in Franklin County heading toward Hart County. Let me show you that velocity or that storm. Looking at the winds here, the green shows a strong signature going toward the radar site. And this is a good position for the storm to be in relation to our radar, live Super Doppler 4 HD, because we have an unobstructed view of this storm. So we're getting great radar data here, and this is rotating significantly. A very dangerous storm here in Sandy Cross. I'm going to zoom into street level here and show you where we're talking about. Right on Royston, right along Highway 29, getting in closer here. There is Highway 106, Highway 51, and it looks like Carytown Road, Roach Road, over toward Hale Crossing Road. There is very likely a funnel cloud, if not a tornado, there with this. John, this is some of the strongest rotation we've seen all day long.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, Chris. This is incredible. You think about it, you think about the green and the red, the brighter they both are and closer together like this couplet itself, that means you have the strongest rotation in this very, very tight area. That's very strong winds, 52, 34 inbound, outbound, going into this storm. We've still got incredible wind shear aloft, and here it is. Now, this the tornado may be right in through here. So once again, first of all, we're at nighttime now. Second of all, this is probably going to be rain-wrapped tornado, so you're not going to be able to see it. So don't worry about taking pictures. Just go to your safe house, your safe room, immediately. You need to do that as quickly as you can as this cell starts to move off to the northeast. It's going to get very close to you folks in Royston, but probably just off to your north. But you can see it heading toward Bowersville, eventually up to Reed Creek, as we mentioned, and also in the town of Hartwell. Storm trackers showing this cell. There it is, 8:44 in Royston, Bowersville at 8:49, Flat Shoals at 8:53, and in Hartwell at 8:56, but pretty much very close to 9 o'clock this evening. So let's go ahead and pull back a little bit, Chris, and we'll show you this whole line that's really starting to form. We're going to get into the reflectivity and showing the radar itself. As expected, these thunderstorms were back in northern Georgia and also in East Tennessee. They were strong in certain cells. But it's kind of moving into a more, coming off the mountains, it's moving into a more favorable environment as far as the atmosphere here in the upstate. So we're kind of expecting this. And just over the last hour or two, watch how all these cells started to converge. Now we're getting what we call a squall line, a solid line of very, very heavy thunderstorms with embedded these little supercells and small supercells, but just enough to spin up a tornado. And that is still some great circulation heading toward you folks in Franklin County and heading over into Hart County. We have some pretty good circulation here in northwestern part. We're going to go over to Chris right now. He's got some latest information.
Hey, John, just want to let you know a new tornado warning will be issued for Pickens and southern Transylvania County.
Oh, there it is,
northern
right there.
Greenville County.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is, John. Let's get into this very closely here. 2 tornado warnings now, folks. This is escalating quickly, John. Entering that area of very unstable air. Let's get into this warning right here, John. I'll cue it up for you.
Okay.
There you
Yeah,
go.
look at this. There's tornado warning now until 9:15 this evening. This is for northern Pickens County. Looks like it's just north of the town of Pickens. This is up into Transylvania County. Let's go in a little bit tighter, Chris, and see down into the towns. Let's see what we've got here. Yeah, so it's north of Pickens, northwest of you folks in Travelers Rest. Looks like Slater, Marietta, and Tigerville. You're going to be very close to the cell right here. You see the little notch moving up this way. It's Rosman. It's going to be probably, that cell's probably going to move just off to your south. There it is. Yeah, pretty impressive, Chris. Right there. What is that? Highway 178?
That is, yeah.
Coming up from Pickens, heading toward Rosman. Right here. Very strong circulation right here. And this could be a possible funnel cloud or a tornado that may be on the ground, and it's moving quickly off the northeast. So it's going to move into the northern part of Pickens County and also the southern and southwestern part of Transylvania County. Storm tracker showing if it continues on this, it's very close to you folks in Rocky Bottom, Sherwood Terrace at 8:55, Cleveland at 9 o'clock, Jeter Mountain Terrace at about 9:06. So that line coming off the mountains, Chris, really starting to pop these cells, and they're intensifying very quickly. And I do believe this happens a lot in this area. I've been here for 28 years. A lot of times when we get these cells coming off the mountains in the counterclockwise circulation with strong wind shear, once they kind of come off, they get that little extra lift with that the southeasterly winds coming up on the mountains, and it really starts to spin them. And we're starting to spin these up. So we've got 2 tornado warnings out for part of our area right now, for northern Pickens County and also southwestern and south central part of Transylvania County, and for you folks in Hart and Franklin counties in northeastern Georgia. 2 tornado warnings. You need to take cover immediately, and here's this solid line of pretty nasty thunderstorms. How about the lightning? We click on lightning there for you, Chris. Let's see how much lightning. Again, that can almost fool you, because we actually, during the day today, we had all these heavy showers, but we had very little lightning associated with these showers. They didn't go up very high. We were actually doing some RHIs, some kind of a vertical on them, and they were only going up to about 20, 25,000 feet, Chris. So they weren't very high up, and now we're getting some lightning strikes. So don't be fooled by the fact you don't hear all this rumble of thunder, even though these are thunderstorms. They're just low. They're not very high up, but it's because we have such incredible wind shear, we're spinning up these potential tornadoes. So go ahead, Chris. I'll let you take over for a couple minutes. I'm going to check some of the weather data.
Yeah, looking at this, John, we'll get first into this new warning. It's in Greenville County. It does include Greenville, Pickens, Transylvania, even parts of Henderson County right here in this warning, as we're seeing this flare up quickly as it's moving into a very unstable air mass. North of downtown Greenville. Folks, if you have family or friends north of Slater, Marietta, into Tigerville, northern Pickens County, just north of Dacusville right here, there is Highway 218. There's Pumpkintown. You are in the path of this. Lakemont, Caesars Head, Rocky Bottom appears to be the most concerning spot. I'm going to turn on velocities right here because that seems to be the most concerning. Still indicating a tornado. Getting a new update here. There's the twisting and turning. You see the greens and the reds. The red going away from the radar, the green going toward our Doppler radar site. So there's that. I want to go back down here because they are indicating that this still has a tremendous amount of yeah, John, look at that. Wow. Cannon, Royston, getting in closer here. This continues to show the strongest rotation that we've seen so far today. And this warning goes until 8:45. And this includes Franklin County and Hart County. In fact, it's about to cross over the Hart County line. Let's put a track on this one here because it is moving very fast. John, these storms are booking it. Yeah. 50 to 55 miles per hour. Lake Hartwell, it's going to move right over you. All right, so Cannon, 8:48. Flat Shoals at 8:55. Hartwell at 8:58. And then Reed Creek at 9:02. Let's go full with this, and then I'll switch over to the key. John, you can look at some of this stuff. We can see what's going on with this because that's not the only warning that we have in town right now, because this right here is encountering an area that just has a tremendous amount of wind energy, and this area has had enough time to dry out from the earlier storms. We had some sunshine today, so right here in Cannon, please take this seriously in Reed Creek and Hartwell, anywhere on Lake Hartwell, the southern side of the lake, and eventually, if it were to continue past Hartwell, would cross right over into Anderson County. There's Highway 187, there's Star, Iva, Anderson. This is heading right towards you folks. So I'm putting you on alert right here, John. We're concerned that if this continues, it could cross the line into South Carolina, into Anderson County. But for now, Franklin and Hart County, you are right in the path of this as being the main line. Second tornado warning just issued. This one goes until 9:15, includes the northwestern corner of Greenville County. southern Transylvania County, southwestern Henderson County, but right now it's right there in Pickens County, north of Dacusville, north of Pumpkintown, and that rotation right there. There's that notch. You can see that backside of it wrapping around into this, right along the Greenville-Pickens County line, very near Caesar's Head, right there, actually, right there, John. That's a pretty strong rotation, and this is looking up into the mountains, so this rotation could actually be a bit stronger than it's indicating here on the radar. There's Highway 11, Tigerville, heading towards you folks. This is pushing up toward the north and east and will soon enter Greenville County near Caesar's Head. So, folks, please get on the phone, call your friends and family up that way. If you're in the path of this in northeastern Pickens County, northwestern Greenville County, please seek shelter right now. Get into an interior part of your home. You need to seek shelter. Turn the TV up as loud as you can. We're streaming online, Facebook. You can go your safe place with your phone. Technology is a great thing nowadays, right? Stay away from the windows, and please do not be driving in this. If anybody that you know or love or could be driving right now, please give them a call and urge them to stay put right here in this tornado warning right here. Northern Greenville County, northern Pickens County, an active tornado warning. And, John, that one toward the south is looking pretty strong as well. That rotation is the strongest we've seen so far today.
Wow, look at that. That's just amazing. That's just amazing, Chris. Look at that. And then, of course, where the bright red and the bright green come together, that's where we have the counterclockwise circulation, and that's where we have a potential tornado right about in through here. That is very close, right in between. That's so close to you folks in Cannon, Chris, right between Cannon and Royston, and there it is. That is still very impressive looking. Let's put that in motion, Chris, and you can just see it really. One thing that this is doing that the other one, the other cells that we had earlier in the day and like early in the evening, they would come down to where you'd have very, very dark green. They would weaken, dark red, and then they'd pop back up. This is not. Once it started, look at this. It is staying the same color, Chris. Bright greens, bright reds. That indicates incredibly strong rotation. If it's not touching the ground, it's got to be pretty close. It's at least a funnel cloud, and it's right over you folks, pretty close to you folks in Cannon, and heading quickly northeastbound. Again, like Chris was saying, you know, anybody close to the lake, or certainly if you're on the lake, you definitely need to go to shore pretty quickly, because this cell is moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. And Flat Shoals at 8:55, Storm Tracker at Hartwell at 8:59. So just before 9 o'clock. And the warning, I do believe, goes until 9, right, Chris?
It does.
Reed Creek until 9:02. So, again, it's not like you've got this pronounced hook echo that you would normally see out in the plain states as far as, you know, a signature that's saying this is definitely a tornado. It's most likely going to be rain wrapped, so you're not going to be able to see it. Plus, it's at nighttime, so you just need to take cover. There it is right now. The latest scan just came in, still even tighter yet, Chris. Those are really, really bright reds and greens right here. Very dangerous situation. Heading through Hart County, heading toward Reed Creek. And we pull on out, and it's still showing a solid line, Chris, all the way up and down from northeastern Georgia through Oconee County, Pickens County, up and through Transylvania County, all the way through the northern mountains. A little bit of a bow, maybe even going on through here, just a slight bow echo. But the 2 tornado warnings, northern Pickens, Transylvania County, and also in for Hart County and Franklin counties. And we could see more warnings as we go through this evening. So let's, how about the times? Boy, it's still bright green, bright red.
Both of them are,
both these cells are not weakening at all. If they're doing anything, they may be even getting a little bit stronger. That's even stronger ones. Can you even go tighter, Chris?
Yeah, John, got new information from the National Weather Service on that. They're concerned about 11 miles south of Brevard near Table Rock State Park, right over Table Rock State Park, Highway 11 there, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Moving northeast, I should say.
Northeast. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's even getting stronger, Chris. That is right there is a potential tornado. So you can see how it even gets even brighter as we head continuing through northern Pickens County. And it's right up, basically right on the North Carolina, South Carolina line, it looks like, right, Chris?
I think that's the Greenville-Pickens County line.
Is that, so Caesar's Head's probably right over here.
Exactly.
Then. Yeah, yep. So it's moving right over into extreme northwestern part of Greenville County, and then it's going to eventually make its way up for you folks in Transylvania County. But that is a powerful circulation going on right here. These are the winds that they can tell you the speed and the direction, and what it's actually doing is the radar now can, obviously, if a raindrop is going this way, we know it's moving in that direction, and this way, and the raindrop's going this way. So there's the latest scan, and there it is, moving into Caesar's Head, 8:58. Oh, wow, it's still pretty impressive.
Highway 11 is a big-time highway there. Folks will travel back and forth from Lake Kiwi for the weekend.
Yep.
That's looking very pronounced. Very likely a funnel cloud or not a tornado on the ground.
Yep. Okay, let's go back to Chris while you pulling out here, and I'm going to look at some more data. How's that?
Sounds good, John. Yeah, let's go back down here. And again, this is another dangerous storm down here in Franklin and Hart County. It has now crossed into the Hart County line. Again, pronounced circulation right along Hartwell, heading towards you folks in downtown Hartwell. You need to be seeking shelter right now. If you have friends or family that live in Hartwell, please share this with them. This is a very dangerous storm, likely a funnel cloud, likely could possibly be on the ground because this is some of the strongest rotation that we've seen so far today. I'll turn the radar on. What tells us more about this storm is not looking at the rain in the storm, it's actually looking at the winds. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where. I could tell you just from our expertise looking at it somewhere in here, but as we turn on the storm velocity, you can see that that's exactly where the storm is rotating. Now, this is very close to our live Super Doppler radar. So as we look at this, the winds in this storm, the green is going toward our radar site there in South Carolina. The red is going away, and that's creating that rotation there. And this is a very large circulation, but it's tight. It's sitting right there, and it's bright as we've seen so far today. So you've got two storms that are rotating in this cell right here, in this line. Let me turn the radar on for you again. This line is moving toward the east. I'm going to track the line for you itself. Just because the line itself is going to be strong and gusty as it moves through. So the line, the rain, heading toward Hartwell, heading toward Greenville at 9:17, Greer at 9:25, Spartanburg at 9:43. This is if it continues on its same speed. Now, it has shown some fluctuations, but in that line, we have two cells at least two cells that are rotating in that. And this one in northern Greenville County, John, that one continues to still look very impressive. And looking at the storm velocity, very likely just north of Highway 11, we at least have a funnel cloud right there. This is a dangerous storm now moving into Greenville County. It is over Caesar's Head, moving toward River Falls. It's just north of you folks in Tigerville. As we put a track on it here, it's moving toward the north-northeast. It's going to hug the North Carolina-South Carolina line. Caesar's Head, 8:58. Cross Plains, 9:10. East Flat Rock, 9:16. And Baxter at 9:21. Getting new information here out of the Hart County one. John, I'll let you go into this one, and actually, let's see here what they're saying.
Yeah, you can come back to me, and we can go ahead.
7 miles north, 7 miles due west of Hartwell. They're concerned about Hartwell here, John.
7 miles west of Hartwell, right here. So again, this cell right here, and it's this potential possible tornado on the ground here just west of you folks in Hartwell is going to be rain wrapped. You're not going to be able to see it. Of course, it's at nighttime, but please don't go outside and try to take a picture of this because you're not going to see anything. It's going to move. It's moving very quickly off to the east-northeast. So still a very powerful circulation right here heading toward you folks in Hartwell. You need to take a cover immediately. Go to your safe spot. Do we have the safety tips up if we can? Obviously, you just want to go to the lowest floor possible. Thank you. In your home, put as many walls as you can between you and the exterior wall in your home. So if you've got time, if you've got like a twin bed, if you've got time to grab the twin bed and the mattress and grab a pillow so you can protect yourself and lay flat in the bathtub, especially in the lowest floor bathroom with no windows. That would be the safest place to be. If you're outside, you want to go to a nearby building if you can. If you have a friend in your neighborhood that may have a basement and you don't, if you have time to get over there very quickly. Otherwise, if you're outside, lie flat and protect your head from flying debris with your hands and in a low-lying ditch. So there, as you can see, where is my safe room? I'm going to go ahead and pull out of here so you can actually see it, Chris, and everybody can watch. Actually, you can see interior hallway, best you can. Lowest floor, you don't want to be up here. You want to go down into the basement is obviously the safest place to be. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't have basements in our homes. Not here in the South. Basement's the safest. But if you don't, interior bathroom here, especially if you don't have any windows and you want to put as many walls between you and the outside wall to the outside. It's a very cool looking graphic, and that is the safest place to be. Let's go to Chris real quick. He's got some more information.
Yeah, we've got a new warning here, or at least an adjustment to that warning, now including Henderson County. It's hugging right along the North Carolina-South Carolina line in Greenville and Henderson County. Let's get in closer here. Yeah, John, this is riding right along the border. Let's switch back to our Doppler radar. You can see this is a fast-moving system, moving at about 50 miles per hour. Let's look at that relative velocity there. You can see it's still just north of Highway 11. Let's get in closer here because it looks like it's about to cross Caesar's Head, Highway 276 there. That's a big thoroughfare there between North Carolina and South Carolina, just north of Mountain Lake Colony. And again, it is moving very near Caesar's Head State Park toward the northeast at 40 miles per hour. Southern Henderson County, putting you on alert here. This storm will soon be on your doorstep right there. Highway 25, another area there driving up toward North Carolina there. That's going to be a big area that we're going to be watching in the near term. And John, that's one of two. But look at the rotation here. This line itself, I'll turn the radar on. You can see it, John, as you analyze it. This line could have more embedded supercells that could possibly be rotating.
Absolutely. Even so far, I was just watching that in the velocity before you switched over to the reflectivity, which is showing the radar here, Chris, showing a little bit of rotation very close to you folks in Clemson, but it's not quite there. A little bright red here, a little green here, but not much at all. But we have to watch this closely because it certainly has a lot of winds moving away from the radar site. The green is moving toward our radar site, which is that way, heading toward the Greenville area, toward Piedmont in our case. Here we're looking at the rotation, still very strong, Chris. A little bit more. Let's see, go ahead and zoom tighter into that. It looks like it's a little bit more broad circulation. Yeah, the bright reds and the bright greens weren't tighter together earlier. You can see that they've kind of come across a little bit wider, but they're also pretty intense. So this could be actually, either way you slice it, it's either a large rotation with a larger tornado or just large rotation with a possible funnel cloud than what it was before when it was much, much tighter. Either way, this is a very dangerous cell right here, and it's getting very close to you folks in Hartwell, and it's going to move over the central and northern part of Lake Hartwell and up until possibly even Lake Kiwi as we get into the later on. Reed Creek, watch out for it. There's storm tracking. Looking at Mason's Crossroad, Reed Creek, 905. That's been pretty much set, Chris, the way we've looked at it so far. Again, not much of a hook echo, a notch or something that you would normally see for us on the radar to say, wow, that's a tornado there. It's got the circulation involved and it's rain wrapped. They're not going to be able to see this at all. It's going to be rain-wrapped tornado moving this way, very close to you folks in Hartwell. So we got that cell. We'll pull on back a little bit. And you folks in Anderson County, this cell is moving in your direction. So you folks in Anderson County need to be on the alert in case this cell stays strong. You folks, and obviously up in Hendersonville, you need to watch this cell, this potential tornado on the ground there close to Caesar's Head. And then we'll see if this starts to fill in and might get some more cells. They just switched it over to a severe thunderstorm warning now. I think that's probably, Chris.
Broadened out, like you said.
Yeah, because I think it's become, instead of so tight like it was before, it became broader. Much broader, more wider, which means it's still good circulation, though. And this could tighten up again. That's what we've been watching for most of the day today. So that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So either way you look at it, still, it could possibly briefly become a tornado again, but either way, you could get straight line winds, you folks in Hartwell and Reed Creek, of well over 60 mile per hour straight line winds and maybe some hail, but most likely damaging straight line winds. So that's now been downgraded only to severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but this cell could easily briefly produce a tornado again, Chris.
Something interesting to look at the path of where this cell is going to go over Lake Hartwell, and a big part of Lake Hartwell. There is a lot of open water right there. We talk about meso impacts, that's small scale impacts on these storms. And John, we've seen it happen time and time again, what Lake Hartwell does to these storms. Often that lack of friction on the lake, there's no trees, just an open body of water. Sometimes that'll get this piece of the storm that's moving toward the radar, that green side of it, it'll actually accelerate that because it has no friction with it. So we wouldn't be surprised. And folks, don't let your guard down. I would stay in your safe spot there in Hart County. It's crossing over the South Carolina line very shortly because just the location of where this is going to be transferring over, John, wouldn't be surprised. Anderson County. We call it the Tornado Valley of Anderson County, and for a reason, because that lake usually, right there, you usually get tornadoes that quickly touch down right in this part of Anderson County, just west of Highway 187 right there, because of the lake.
They usually do, and it really is, and it does play a major factor, Chris, the lake itself. Sandy Springs, how many times you folks in Pendleton and Sandy Springs have had tornadoes over the last 10 or 15 years? I've seen them. It's amazing, so we'll have to watch it. So that cell is heading toward you folks, eventually maybe in Star. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter to Anderson, eventually Belton, Williamston, possibly down the road, basically hugging just south of I-85 from Hart County all the way down into Anderson County. So Anderson at 921, so it's moving very quickly. These cells are moving between 40 and 50 miles per hour, so they are racing off to the east-northeast pretty darn quickly. So still a pretty broad circulation, Chris, and in fact it looks like it's gotten even wider, which is good news in a way. It still is going to produce damaging straight-line winds. Remember, we usually end up with straight-line damaging winds more than we do to get tornadoes in this area. And straight-line winds could go over 60 miles per hour. They could go to 60 to 70 miles per hour. That's going to cause just as much damage as what we normally see in our weaker tornadoes here, which is our EF0s or EF1s. So there's not much difference. Your damage is damage, whether it's straight-line winds or tornadoes. So this is still a nasty thunderstorm. And it looks like it's trying to get a little bit tighter, Chris. 40-41 earlier was about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Still, pretty good rotation, though. We definitely have to watch this closely. And it is going over a fairly populated area with all these homes in and around the Lake Hartwell area, that's for sure. Let's go up and see how Pickens County's looking, Chris. That's still very tight. It looks like it's getting a little bit broader, not as bright as green as it was before, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that yet. Go way back. See, it was, so this looks like it's weakening somewhat, but it's still pretty close circulation. That is right in through around Caesar's Head. It's right on top of Caesar's Head, I would say. Chris, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's right there, right at the triple point of Henderson, Transylvania, and Greenville County.
Pretty close, and then it's almost hitting the mountains. Instead of turning off to the northeast, it's actually moving, kind of hitting the mountains and kind of bouncing and heading toward the east a little bit. Heading right, it's just now to the east of Caesar's Head, River Falls, heading over to Terry Creek, Gap Creek, Tuxedo at 9:16, River Falls at 9:07, and that was the storm tracker time. So 2 cells that we have to watch very closely, and as you can see, not a well-defined hook echo type of thing. Again, this is going to be, it's at nighttime, you're not going to see anything, so don't go out and try to take a picture, plus the fact these are most likely, if these tornadoes are on the ground, or even if it's a funnel cloud, it's going to be rain-wrapped, so you're not going to be able to see it at all. All right, Chris, you got any more information? How about the chat room?
Just talking about the severe thunderstorm warning in Hart County. Of course, the National Weather Service not letting their guard down on this cell. It still is rotating. It's just not rotating near the surface. It's higher up in the mid-levels. So we're going to be watching that very closely as it moves into Anderson County. But that's not the only line. I want you to note that this line is not a straight line. That would indicate that this is going to come through with very strong winds, but probably not tornadoes. But the fact that it's squiggly, it's not got one straight line. It's kind of an S shape in a way, almost like a snake. That indicates that parts of this line are trying to outrun other parts of it, and that's where you get your rotation and your quick touchdowns of some tornadoes. Let's look at the velocities in this. Again, just north of Clemson, a little bit of rotation, but it's so broad, and it's in the middle layers of the atmosphere that it's not too much of a cause for a concern. And it looks like still the strongest rotation is there in Reed Creek, Hartwell, crossing over into Anderson County shortly. We'll go ahead and look at the warning on this one. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, which goes until 9:15, about another 10 minutes for that one. But again, that storm is rotating. It's something we're going to have to watch closely as it moves into Anderson County. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that green flare up into some brighter greens as it goes over the lake there within the next minute. We're going to watch that in just a second. Until then, let's go up here and check on this storm here in northern Greenville County. It's right on the triple axis there of Transylvania, Henderson, and Greenville County. Again, we're shooting over some mountains here. Our Doppler radar is right here in Anderson County. So it's looking up into elevation, John, and a lot of times you've got some high elevations there near Table Rock, so we're losing a little bit of data as it's shooting up over those mountains, but this is still a rotating thunderstorm, and a big cause for concern as this warning still has, let's see here, another 10 minutes or so on that one. That's still a rotating storm right along the North Carolina-South Carolina border.
They both go to about 9:15, right, Chris?
That's right.
They both go till 9:15, so we're going to stay on and see whether these warnings get extended farther to the northeast, over into most of Henderson County, maybe even to the southwestern, the western part of Polk County. So that's a tornado warning continues for mainly the south central part. Still some very strong rotation, as you can see. Definitely 49, probably 49, 50, right around 50 miles per hour. Hail producer looks like it was earlier. That's about quarter-size hail, 1-inch diameter hail, heading up there. Hail could be the main threat, but like Chris was saying, when you look at the velocities, a lot of times you're shooting from a lower elevation at a radar site from Piedmont, and you're going up, and you might be overshooting some of the tops of these thunderstorms. And remember, these tops are only going up around 25, 30, only about 20, 25,000 feet, so they're not very high up. So 9:15, we'll see if this gets extended. It still has some tremendous circulation, so I wouldn't be surprised, Chris, if it's extended at least as a severe thunderstorm warning. And then I'm kind of be curious to see. Here's some very heavy rains about ready to move into you folks in Pickens and Easley and Dacusville down the road. It's moving over you folks in Clemson right now and through Seneca. Little notch right in through here. A little interesting to see. What does that look like with the velocities, Chris?
A little bit.
It's kind of trying to back up a little bit.
That green.
Actually, yeah, this is moving away and then a green. Yeah, that's kind of interesting to see right here. Little green underneath it, huh?
Yeah.
On the south side. So that's something that bears watching, that's for sure.
Trying to wrap back around, huh?
Trying to wrap it around again. And just like Chris mentioned, it's not like, it, in a way, would kind of be a blessing if it was just a solid line straight. You'd get straight line winds across the entire area, a large area. But it's this kind of a snaky, curvy little thing, and that's because we get these little rotations, these little mini supercells possibly develop inside the line itself. So this will be interesting to see, Chris. Heading into Lake Hartwell, what will the Weather Service do with this severe thunderstorm warning now for Reed Creek and Hartwell?
Look at that flare up. It did turn brighter green.
It is. There's your bright green going right over your lake. Nice call there, Chris. This happens a lot when you get them over a body of water, especially in this case because it's moving this way. And you remember counterclockwise circulation, so it's moving over, no friction over the lake, picking up speed, and then wrapping around. And it spins it. Remember, this is going toward the radar site, the green. So it's going this way and then going all the way around. So your potential tornado is right about in through here. The tighter you get that red and the green. That's getting brighter. So we've got, what is it, 9:09 now? So we're talking about another 5-6 minutes and see what this warning, see if it gets extended into Anderson County as a severe thunderstorm warning, or will it become a tornado warning? Here's our little circulation from the computer within our system itself. Interesting, Chris. That's still pretty, it looks like it's trying to intensify again till 9:15. Hail doesn't seem to be the main threat, that's for sure, because this is really strong lower level circulation, and it's not really high up into the atmosphere as far as the tops of these thunderstorms go, and moving off to the northeast. So we'll pull on back. We're going to wait a couple more minutes, and this will be kind of critical time period here over the next 5 to 10 minutes, Chris, to see what the National Weather Service decides to do with that tornado warning and that severe thunderstorm warning. These two cells, and we'll see what happens in between for that matter. Now back to you, Chris.
Yeah, that storm there in northern Greenville County, whether it's producing a tornado or not, the bowing or the kind of structure of that just screams that it's got some tremendous wind with it. I'm going to go walk over to the key here and show you this, because this is indicating that it does have, you can see, if you look at it right in there, it's almost kind of bowing out like that. That just shows us that it has tremendous winds, and it's outrunning this part of the storm. So you've got this part that's going so fast, this part that's going the other way. So this is where your tornado could possibly be, right there along the Greenville County, Henderson County line, right along North Carolina and South Carolina. Highway 25 from TR up to Hendersonville, an area that many take. It's a dangerous road no matter what, much less during a tornado warning right here. Please stay off that road. A lot of curving right in there, and that's Terry's Gap right in there, and that's a dangerous part of Highway 25 right there. You'll see wrecks on that part of 25 when there's rainstorms, much less a storm with this kind of intensity. So please do not be traveling. Do not let anybody you know be traveling. Please give them a call. You need to be in your safe spot here in northern Greenville County. Interior part of your home, basement, away from the windows. Looking down at this line, look at that snaky curvature part of it there, John. And looking at that there in parts of Clemson, north of Norris, in Pickens County here, we've been watching this line try to outrun part of it. This is a strong line, lots of lightning associated with it, some very heavy rainfall. But you have to know that our atmosphere, a few thousand feet above our heads right now, is just racing. It's a wind machine right now, so anything that forms and gets tall enough starts twisting and turning, and that's what we have out of this rotation right here. It almost looks pretty interesting right there north of Reed Creek. The rotation looks to have broadened and expanded out. And, John, this is going to be something we'll have to watch very closely because this is a rotating thunderstorm here, so it's still moving through, and it's got a lot of the upstate to go through before we're done with it. So these storms, like what we call cycle, they go up, they go down, they intensify, they weaken. It's just a life cycle of a storm, and what they do is they reinvigorate themselves with this line because you'll get another piece of energy that comes in and kind of reinvigorates it. And look at that wind right there, right over Lake Hartwell. Like we mentioned, here in western Anderson County, just west of you folks in Starr, you'll usually get a quick touchdown from a tornado in these type situations. So please be on guard here along Lake Hartwell, anywhere on Lake Hartwell in Anderson County. You need to be seeking shelter. Just don't chance this storm. A severe thunderstorm warning is just as dangerous in some ways as a tornado warning because, like John mentioned, it doesn't matter if the wind comes at you in a straight line or if it comes at you in a circle. Wind damage is wind damage, and this is a dangerous storm now moving into South Carolina, into Anderson County there. Still a lot of rotation riding right along the I-85 corridor. And, John, we talk about this in the wintertime with the mountainous range right there. That mountain, that terrain has a lot of impact to that. Still got this warning here in Henderson and Greenville County, John.
Yeah, they're just talking about just looks like the tornado warning for Greenville, Henderson, and Transylvania counties will expire on time at 9:15. So the next couple of minutes. They're thinking that's
good news there.
That is certainly good news. It's broadened out. You can see the circulation. It is not as tight as you can see, obviously. I'll let you go on that, and I'll go back and through here, Chris.
What I'll be interested to see is once it moves out of Henderson County into Polk County, where there's not as much elevation. This is a mountainous area.
Exactly. Will the circulation stay fairly tight, Chris, when it gets out of the mountains and into the foothills in Piedmont? That'll be interesting to see as we go through a little bit later on this evening. So this cell is actually out of the tornado warning box now, but this is going to expire here in a couple of minutes from the National Weather Service. The tornado warning now has been canceled, but we're going to have to watch this closely. In case it does flare up again, they could reissue another warning. So you folks in Polk County, you need to be on the alert just in case. Either way, this is still a strong cell, and you could still get damaging straight-line winds with this thunderstorm, even if it's not a tornado. So you folks in Landrum, Columbus, eventually over to Rutherford, maybe even Lake Lure, Chimney Rock, maybe a little bit later on as this cell, if it starts to turn a little bit more toward the north. Right now, it looks almost like, Chris, it's heading almost due east, heading right along the North Carolina and South Carolina line, that cell itself. But very heavy rain, not a lot of lightning, just extremely heavy rainfall and strong gusty winds. We have winds that are gusty to 30 miles per hour out of the south ahead of this system. And that is bringing dew point temperatures in the 60s. That's something that we would see toward maybe May into early June in our area. So the atmosphere is very moist, very unsettled, to say the least, and very unstable. So we'll see what this severe thunderstorm, the Weather Service say anything, Chris, about the severe thunderstorm warning here for Hart County?
They're not, other than it's going to expire.
There it is.
1 minute left.
There it is. It just disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's good news. So this is now expired on time. So we've got a broad area circulation here. Weather Service will be monitoring that very closely. So right now that warning has expired, has been canceled just before a couple minutes. And so now we can pull back, Chris, and we have no tornado warnings across the area. Let's take a look at the radar itself. We have the line with very heavy rains. A lot of the computer models earlier today were saying that this line would intensify when it got into the western part of the upstate. They were right on the nose. And then they said when it gradually moves east, it's supposed to slowly weaken as it goes into later on this evening. We'll see if that happens, because at least the good news right now, we remain under a severe thunderstorm watch for the western part of the upstate, western North Carolina and northeastern Georgia. Actually, you guys are all clear. Anywhere west of this line, you're in the all clear. You're all clear. No problems. It's from this line eastbound. So no warnings. And Chris and I will stay here all the way through the evening and keep you updated. But right now we can go back to regularly scheduled program.
We now join our regularly scheduled program already in progress.